Hello again. This is Wendy Down with your next recording here in the Consciousness Playground Future of Aging series. This is recording number 10. It's called See Your Present Self Through Future Ageless Eyes. On this recording, I want to give you a completely different perspective from which to view your present body, and a completely different perspective from which to anticipate your future body, your future perspective on aging, your future health, your future understanding on how your body is just a representation of the larger you that exists outside time and space. To set the stage for an exercise I'm going to guide you through, there are just a couple of ideas or insights I want to share. The first is that your body, as it exists right now, is a reflection of the beliefs, assumptions, perspectives, and experiences you've had in the past. If we look at it from a linear perspective. So this body that you're sitting there in right here and now is a collection of the past. And in the past, you've had strong ties, like I have, to the idea that your body must inevitably age. And so those ties are currently reflected in the age that your body shows up as and the state in which it presents itself. If you were to continue on with those present beliefs and tied to those same perspectives on the inevitability of aging, your body would continue likely to age in a predictable way that's in concert with those beliefs. In other words, if nothing about your point of view were to change at this point, you can probably fairly easily predict what your body and your life will be like 5, 10, 15, 20, however many years from now. There's a certain trajectory that you could easily see that you're on. But because of the exploration that you're doing with me here and perhaps other places, untying yourself, untethering yourself from some of those beliefs and opening up to possibilities that few people have explored before, that trajectory is changing. And because your consciousness, who you really are, exists outside the bounds of time and space, it's possible to move forward in that trajectory. In other words, access the consciousness and the understanding and the body and perspective that you will have 5, 10, 15, 20, how many years from now. And right now, look back at this present body, this present self, from that future perspective. And you can permanently make that change. The advantage of it is that you can actually know where you're going. You can know who you're becoming you can experience now the state of being that you will have in that future time, when much more of your consciousness is focused in the agelessness of yourself. And as a result of that, your body, your point of view, your perspectives, your beliefs will reflect that. That's accessible now. And that's where I want to take you on this recording. You might think that that would be a difficult thing to achieve, but it's actually quite simple. You understand that the you that has experienced every moment of your life so far has been the same unchanging presence that you know as you. In other words, the you that's listening to this recording now, the you that's contemplating new ideas and envisioning new possibilities, is the same you that you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 30, 40, however many years ago. That same presence, the same you, was there seeing life through your 4-year-old eyes. Your body was not the same when you were 4. The things you were thinking about were not the same. The thoughts you were having, your understanding of life, how you spent your time, none of those factors were the same. But the you that experienced the age of 4, that perspective, is exactly the same you that's experiencing this moment now. And so that you is exactly the same presence that in the future will have a completely different perspective and understanding of what your body is, how physical reality relates to your consciousness, your state of being. You will be so much more aware, so much more conscious of things that you are currently unconscious of in that regard. And because you'll be conscious of them, they'll be much more easy for you to manipulate or play with. Also, you'll be much less attached to the physicality of your existence. Because while you'll still be focused here in three-dimensional reality and physical reality, it will feel much less apart. It'll occupy much less of your identity. In other words, you'll have much more ongoing appreciation for things that are occurring in other dimensions, emotional dimensions, energetic dimensions, timeless dimensions. Your ability to sense and work with your subtle senses will be greatly enhanced, and you'll find much rich experience and much to explore in those subtle realms. So physical existence won't hold the same grip, won't have the same life or death importance. It'll still be important, it'll still keep you focused here. But what happens with it will be, you'll understand that so much isn't at stake. Your survival, your well-being isn't so much at stake based on the state of your physical self. So as I describe that, it's quite likely that you can imagine that you're already there. You can imagine the presence that you are now having some of those experiences and perspectives, even if you don't now know exactly what those will be. And so the presence that will be having those experiences in the future is exactly the same presence that's here now, because it's the part of you that's timeless, changeless, eternal. It's the part of you that forever is experiencing this now moment from an endless range of perspectives and will forever continue to do that. So let's bring those ideas into a new way of experiencing your present self through your future ageless eyes. And if you have a mirror handy, it could be useful to do this exercise in front of a mirror. If you don't have a mirror handy, you can just do it in imagination or through feeling or sensing in some way that's familiar to you what I'm about to describe. So let's do this. Feel and notice your physical body, who you are right now. So your physical body is a certain age, feels a certain way, has various limitations, has various features, some of which you love, some of which you don't love. Your present self also has certain a certain emotional set point, let's say. It's familiar to you to feel a certain way as you move through life at this point. It's familiar to have certain level of joy, certain level of happiness, certain level of upset, certain level of disappointment or sadness, whatever. There's a range of emotions that's familiar to you right now as your familiar set point. Similarly, mentally, in terms of your thinking, right now, there's a certain familiar way that you exist mentally, certain things you think about, certain understandings you have on every topic. But there's just a familiar way that your mind works and the things you think about are. Again, there's a set point there, a range of where you tend to stay in your mental point of view, a certain perspective. So all of this, your physical self, your emotional self, your mental self, at this point in time, are a certain familiar perspective. And that perspective is outpictured in a very real way. All of those things that you just identified in yourself are very, very real, very true. They're your here and now. They're who you are here and now. And now I want to draw your attention. So those are the factors that make up the point of view that you're having. But the you that's having that point of view, the you that's in that physical body, the you that's experiencing that emotional range, those mental states, the presence, the you that experiences those things are separate. In other words, all those things are changeable. But the presence, the you that notices and is having the experience is unchanging. And so now notice, put yourself forward to whatever future time you'd like to imagine yourself at. 5 years, 10 years, however many years. Imagine that there's a perspective and a you that you'll become between now and then. Just choose a number. And recognize that even though it seems like a long time, perhaps, and there's unfamiliar terrain that you'll traverse between now and then, the you that you'll be then is exactly the same you that you are now on the inside. Exactly the same you that you were at age 4. That same changeless presence will be experiencing whatever you're experiencing at that future point in time. So there's an agelessness to that presence that's quite easy just to turn your attention to and highlight. Now that future self will have a different physical body. It will have a different emotional range. The set point will be different. You'll likely feel weller, more alive, more calm, more peaceful, more aware, less driven, less pressured. That future self also will be thinking about different thoughts. You'll understand things on a larger scale. Things that trip you up in the present day, you'll have deep understanding of, acceptance of, peace with, and they will be resolved. So the perspective that you will see life from in the future and the body you'll be living in will be improved. It will reflect much more of the timelessness that you really are. That's what you're moving towards. But it's possible right now as I put words to that perspective and you let that state of being, even in imagination, just come forward. You can imagine living life from that point of view, even if it doesn't quite match where you're at right now or certain parts of it don't seem well defined. You might just be able to feel how wonderful it would be to continually move into more lightness, more freedom, more peace, more health, more vitality, more well-being, even more youth, more wisdom. That's where you're going. And so as you entertain what that would be like, because that you doesn't, or that perspective doesn't exist anywhere else except within you in this here and now moment, and you're bringing it forward into conscious awareness, you can now be that future ageless you. It'll feel a little bit different to you, but the you that is experiencing it is exactly the same you. So let that future you, who knows things you don't know now, has experienced things you have yet to experience, has been thrilled by unfolding events in a way that are still ahead for you. As you let that future self resonate in you, just feel how wonderful that will be. And let the perspective that that future you will have kind of fill up the space, fill up your consciousness, fill up what you're aware of right now. And let the older you kind of drift away. Let this new future self more familiarly ageless self come to the forefront. And feel how good it feels. Because this is your future you present here now. And now if you have that mirror, or you want to do this exercise in imagination, either look at your present self, your present body, or imagine looking at your present body through those future eyes. In other words, you're not looking at your present self through present eyes, you're looking at them through your future eyes. And you're seeing this present body as the past. In other words, you're looking at what's here now from the point of view that that's what was. Your present appearance, your present health, your present limitations, your present attachments to the idea of growing older, whatever. Your present ideas of how life has to be or whatever. Look at and feel that as though it's past, as though it's your starting place, perhaps, which the you that's observing that now knows it's moved beyond. And from this perspective, you're not projecting more of that present self, more of the decline, more of the age into the future. I'll just be quiet for a minute as things shift and change and morph on levels you may or may not be aware of. And this is the point of view, the perspective that I suggest you can choose to take on from this point forward. As though whatever is showing up in the present is actually just a reflection of the past. And that you already know exactly what the future holds because you are it now on the inside. And it doesn't matter if what you know and who you are on the inside isn't quite reflected exactly or mirrored on the outside, because the outside mirrors the past and the inside establishes the future. And you can already know what the future holds because you can be experiencing it now. And this is the sweet spot of recreating yourself when you know what's ahead, even when the external evidence, the external signs don't quite support it. There's a joy in seeing what is, what you look like, what your body feels like, the point of view you have, how you feel. When you can be with all that, with the understanding that it's already changed. It's already changing. You already know the future. And all you're doing now is seeing how that known future unfolds. The outcome's assured, and you just get to live through the physicalization, the realization of that certain future. So I'm going to stop talking now. I will leave you with a few more short minutes of recording that will be silent, wordless, but very rich in consciousness, in space for you to really establish this stand. Bye for now.